All right, here's a little mystery that I had with Dry Creek Cemetery that I solved just watching the video I made a couple days ago. And I noticed that I came across this same man's grave twice in there, and I only walked through there randomly, stopping. Nothing was planned. I didn't know where any of these were, really. So randomly, I stopped and checked this guy's grave out earlier in the video, and later on, as I was walking through the cemetery, I ended up in the very back where all the Revolutionary War soldiers are collected and buried. And I noted that, hey, this is the same guy's grave. And here's where the Revolutionary War soldiers are buried. You see them in the very back. The older part of the cemetery is in the front, in the foreground. That where those are buried, that's like the very back, the end of the cemetery. So for a long time, I wondered what was up with this. Did they reinter these soldiers? Did they dig them all up and collect them all in the back there? That's what I thought. And I thought it was kind of extreme. But then, like I said, the other day I noticed that I found this man's grave twice. So that kind of answered that. Here's me finding this grave originally, the first time. Never seen anything since. I've come up here quite a bit. I think it's very peaceful up here. And they're right around here. I'm not saying they're around this grave, but they were in this area. Mr. Jabez L. Bottom died September 4th, 1836, age 83 years, 3 months, 29 days. All right, and here's where I find Jabez's grave the second time during that timblab walk. These are our Revolutionary War veterans here. Now, these men weren't killed in the Revolutionary War, but they served in it. And part of their payment for their service by George Washington was he gave them tracts of land here. He had to make the Indians go away first, which he did. But the Indians here, unfortunate for them, sided with the British. So when the British lost, the Indians had to go to reservations or Canada. And some of them just assimilated into society. A lot of them did. But these men served in the Revolutionary War and they received tracts of land. Like this guy, John Locke. Continental Line, Revolutionary War, 1864, died in 1804. And the town next to mine is Locke, so it's named after him. Powers. Massachusetts Line, Revolutionary War. Born 1856, died 1839. Powers is still a pretty dominant name in this town. They have definitely been fruitful. They must have all been pretty young men during the Revolution, in their 20s, no more. This guy, Jabez L. Bottom, 4th Connecticut Regiment, Revolutionary War, 1853 to 1836. And this guy had a house right next to where I live. Okay, so Jabez L. Bottom. I meant to say 1753 instead of 1853. That was a Tim blooper. It's obvious these gravestones for these veterans are more modern, as in, I would say they were put there in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps program, or CCCP. And that was a program the federal government created when the Great Depression was raging and so many young men were out of work. And they were afraid they were going to turn to communism. So they started the Civilian Conservation Corps program and put all these men to work building state parks and putting up a lot of historical markers. And those men built a state park next to this graveyard. And I imagine they put up these markers then too. That's my guess. And I used to think that they dug all these old Revolutionary War veterans up back in the 1930s and reinterred them there. But now that I found Jabez's original grave with its stone. I realized they didn't dig these men up. They just put these markers there. And these gravestones that are there, like Jabez's, all these Revolutionary War veteran markers, that's the same gravestone that I'm going to have. Same style. I know because I just ordered mine last year through the veterans. I'm a Army veteran myself, so I'm entitled to a free grave marker from the VA. And I didn't know that. And I picked mine out. And I picked out the white marble with the cross. And here's what that looks like. Generic. My name and years will be on it someday. This is what it looks like today. And you can see it's the same one that they put up for these guys. So, yeah, I just think they just put all these stones back there to consolidate all the Revolutionary War veterans that had lived in this town. So, that's that mystery. Nobody actually buried there. It's just markers. So Moravia can get credit for having some Revolutionary War veterans, while they get credit for having a president of the United States born here, and one of the Rockefellers was born here, John D., and the first inventor of the all-iron plow was born here, and well, that's Moravia's Revolutionary War veterans. At least that's where their markers are. They're not buried in the back there. So, mystery solved. Thank you. Take care. God bless.